Madridistas, how are you? This is Christian Paredes, founding member of Peña Madridista Sur de California, and I have two very, very special guests. Cesar Orozco, vice chairman of Peña Madridista San Francisco Bay Area, and I got Emily Wilson, special guest from Managing Madrid, columnist. Wow, thank you very much to both of you. Emily, how are you?
I'm good, thank you, and thank you so much for the invite.
Excellent. Cesar, how are you?
Christian, thank you so much for the invite. It's an honor to be here today. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Yes, absolutely. We all are safe and well, and talking about the best team, best club in the world, Real Madrid, obviously. Welcome to Executive Madridismo. All right, so let's dive right into it. 2021 Spanish Super Cup, the first during this COVID-19 era, if you'd like to call it that, is supposed to be played in Saudi Arabia, but they moved it over to back to Spain. And the semifinal was played in La Rosaleda in Malaga between Real Madrid, which is a defending Liga champions, and then Athletic Bilbao, which strangely enough, supposed to play a Copa del Rey final against Real Sociedad. That never happened, so we drew them in the semifinal. Game, obviously 2-1 victory for Athletic Bilbao. It was a little bit of a shocker for a lot of people expecting Madrid to be in the final. I want to start, Emily, what happened in this game?
You know, I just think Real Madrid got off to a pretty slow start. Going down 1-0, I mean, Lucas Vazquez, bad back pass, it happens. But then at the same time, it was just, Athletic, they could capitalize. And then again, another Lucas error, unfortunately, but with the penalty, just kind of a careless decision-making in my opinion. But then they just had to find a way to claw back. And as we've seen in this kind of, like you said, COVID-19 era, it's been a bit difficult for Real Madrid at this stage to crawl back into matches like this. So they tried it all, but in the end, it just wasn't good enough.
And also, it's a one game. It's not two legs. It's not a series. It's 90 minutes. And if you're tied, then it goes to extra time or PKs. Cesar, how did you see this game?
I agree with Emily. I think it was a bit of an unlucky and slow start. It started with that. It was a bad pass by Lucas Vazquez. I think it really shows that he has been serviceable at that position, but it came to show that that's not his natural fit. And those bad passes happen. It just opened up that runway straight for that 1-0. And it was just a silly play that led to that 2-0 play in between. And again, Lucas Vazquez, I think, has been probably the most informed player when he's playing up top, and he has been serviceable at right back. But somehow it just showed. It was one of those games where when you have a bad game, the world just comes crashing down on you.
Yeah, understandably so. We've seen great games where he has filled in on that position. He has done very well. I mean, because we have Carvajal out, or Odriozola out. I mean, really, it's a Red Cross, moment for Madrid in that position. I mean, the thing that I was really disillusioned with, though, was not just Vazquez in the first goal, but the second one. Because if you remember, the ball was coming in, and he's jumping for it and mistimes it, and the ball falls right in the lap of the forward for Bilbao, and then he tries to recuperate, and he grabs him from behind and commits the penalty. So two errors in the box where he thinks he's 6 feet tall when he really isn't, and it's really unfortunate because then it puts the team in a 0-2 hole in the first half. Right, Emily?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And like you said, the first one, okay, he jumps, he's not that tall of a player, and then he missed the header. But then just the irrational decision making after that. And you'd think for a player who's been with Real Madrid for that long, Vazquez was there through, the last 5 seasons, those incredible highs that the club has had. You think he would have the expertise to kind of be aware of what's going on. But like we pointed out already, that's just not his go-to position. And as good as he's been in recent matches, that was just a fault, and it ended up being detrimental for the club. Yeah,
so let's say it's 0-2 going into the half, 45 minutes to turn it around. You got to score 3 goals to get onto the final. Cesar, what did you think of Zidane's substitutions?
I guessed him a little bit, I think, because I think Zidane has been somewhat predictable in the people coming in. I thought that definitely as we started seeing that Vinicius came on for Hazard early on into the second half, it was a nice transition. I don't think Hazard had a great first half to begin with, but we definitely needed to complement some more of that game that Marco Asensio was doing, because I mean, he hit two, one in the crossbar, one on the and one on the sidebar, and I think that would have been a game changer, because just the violence in which he impacted those balls with it, you could just tell that was pure emotion and pure will to want to put that ball in the net. And I wish that momentum and that same feeling that Asensio had kind of carried over to the other players a little more, so that it would have actually made it a little simpler and not that big of a battle.
Yeah, and the thing is that I think the woodwork is still shaking, by the way, after those two shots, if you ask me, because I mean, he's not a big player, and the shot, the force behind the shot is almost like as if Cristiano Ronaldo was shooting those shots. It's incredible, or Bale even. But the thing that here's the thing that is really puzzling to me. Maybe Emily and Cesar, you can help me out with this. Zidane, we've seen him in the past where he prepares the team well for knockout competitions, especially Champions League, and able to put a formula together for the team to advance against tough rivals, depending on no matter the moment that the team is in. In this situation where it's a one-off game against a very physical opponent, the substitution, it was a defensive substitution, Rafael Varane for Nacho, which boggled me. I have no clue what that was all about, unless it was an injury that no one knows about that happened. And then the other two changes were at the 67 and 68 minute mark. So Emily, I mean, what did you think of the I think it was Valverde came in for Luka Modric, Vinicius came in for Eden Hazard. I mean, did that really convince you that it was going to turn around?
Me personally, not so much. Like you already pointed out, Christian, the swap in the CBs to begin with was a little bit confusing. I did see one journalist, I forget who it was specifically, but they mentioned that Varane might have been stomped on. So that was kind of, in my opinion, okay, that might be the reason for Nacho coming in. But then, yeah, the midfield change for me, I find I'm a big fan of Fede Valverde. I like the way he plays. I like the grit that he plays with and the determination that he plays with and what he brings onto the pitch. But at the same time, I don't think he necessarily fits in with Casemiro and Toni Kroos. I think it just becomes a little bit off balance in that midfield. And as you could tell, Luka Modric was a little bit confused with that substitution. And it just, it didn't really change things in the midfield. And it, to be honest, made Real Madrid play with one less creative player. Just because Luka Modric, I mean, you give him the ball, give him 10 seconds and an opportunity, and you never know what can happen. I'm not sure if Fede Valverde has that class just yet, just because he's so young. Like I said, I'm a big fan. He does bring a lot, but it just kind of made it an unbalanced midfield. And then, the Hazard substitution, we did touch on it. Everybody's expecting a lot more from Hazard, especially because of how much it cost and how great he was at Chelsea. And I think it's going to be a little bit of time before we finally get to see him in his groove. But I think a lot of the fans are getting a little nervous, would be the nicest way to put it, I think, because they're just getting a little bit upset with it. Vinicius Jr., he came in, he provided those two crosses in for Sergio Ramos, if you remember too, whose headers went just wide. So he added something, but I mean, they weren't the best substitutions from Zidane in my perspective. And like we already mentioned, a little bit predictable.
Yeah, exactly. Cesar, with regard to not only the Supercup now, but moving forward, let's look a little bit forward now with Atalanta coming up in Champions League, for example. Very difficult opponent. I thought that's a tough matchup. Emily, I like your thoughts on this in a moment. But Cesar, I mean, to believe that Zidane can do this again and winning in Champions League, the lineup he put out and the substitution, the timing of it, and the team was just like they're playing as if they were playing on a roulette table. They had no clue what they were doing. They got desperate. I mean, against Atalanta, you expect Zidane to make some changes in the way that he is doing his substitutions.
I think he actually has to make it really doesn't even come down to the starting 11. I think it's more about the tactical aspect of it. One thing I've noticed a lot throughout the season is as Real Madrid starts games and And if the other team goes up above, on top first, we struggle to come back and tie that game or take over the game at the end. So I think that tactical adjustment really has to go very well. One and two, we need to stop being as predictable. I feel like typically, again, the subs is usually the same two or three coming in, and it's usually around the same timing, that like late 60s and into the 80th minute sometimes for the last one. So that doesn't really show a whole lot of uh, uh, I want to say under feet thinking, if you want to call it that, to adjust the game, especially when things are not going right. You address it very well. Atalanta is no easy match. I don't think any of the potential four teams that we could have faced were an easy match, but Atalanta is a fast team. And I think they are playing there with lots to prove, because everybody for years and years, nobody had really ever considered Atalanta a threat up until last year when they started taking the Champions League by a storm. So I do think that they are a team to, one, respect a lot more than many people may give them credit for, and two, we need to make sure that or Zidane needs to make sure that he plans that starting 11 and is able to correct any potential unforeseen circumstances that will present both home and away.
Yeah, Emily, what are your thoughts on Atalanta?
I mean, I agree with everything that was just said. You know, it's going to be a tough one for Real Madrid because the last two UCL seasons, they've been knocked out at the round of 16. So this could potentially be the third season in a row being knocked out at the first stage of the knockouts, coming off the three-peat, which is just such a drastic change. But at the same time, it's just going to be, you know, there's two legs, which sometimes Zidane tends to be a little bit more fortunate with, because you can adjust and look at who you're playing at and how the first game went. But if the first game doesn't go, I mean, positively for Madrid and they're in a hole, it's going to be pretty interesting to see if they can dig themselves out of it, because yeah, Atalanta has so much firepower, so much belief in themselves too, especially because of last season.
They're on the come up, and if it wasn't for Mbappe, they would be in the semifinals last season, Champions League. Okay, and then they qualified for this season before this, so it didn't even matter what they would have done in the later stages. They were going to be in it, so they are a Champions League level caliber team in the knockout. I mean, they are there, and I'm just so impressed with how they play. I mean, they earned that spot, and I think a lot of Madridistas still have that feeling of invincibility that we experienced for 8 years, and we're thinking that way, and unfortunately that's not the case. I mean, we've seen games in the past where we would go down 2-0 or down 1, you know, whatever, and we would flip the script and we would win by a couple of goals and it would be taken care of, and that's not the way it is now. It's every game is a struggle to win by even one game or even to tie certain games. I mean, that's something that I really think that Madridismo has to consider moving forward. I mean, this is a good team. Real Madrid is a good team still, no doubt about it. They're a Champions League team, but that level that we saw before, it's going to be some time before we get back there, right, Cesar?
Yes, I agree. I believe that we got spoiled as Madridistas. We got spoiled for so long, and we had the best player in history. So it's hard to acknowledge that we will stay at the same level when we lose this player, and even, you know, as most of that same base for that team is still there, and the tactics are still there, but I don't know if, again, the predictability of how we're playing or how we're addressing in between games, it's becoming more and more evident to other teams that it's making it so difficult for us. One of the things I've noticed is when we have played Liga, and it's with some very respectfully smaller teams, if you want to call them, they throw eight people on their own side of the field, and we just have a hard time opening up that can, you know. So we really need to make sure that we address this with lots of respect, but also need to make sure that we start taking more shots and start just making sure that our presence is not only felt but also respected once again. Because I feel the team has plenty to give, but we also need to be better prepared and need to react better.
Yeah. One final point about moving forward in Champions League. I don't think Lucas Vazquez should be in that position at all. in Champions League, not at all. Danny Carvajal and Alvaro Odriozola, they really need to get back. They need to get back, and they need to get back into playing, and got to have a solid line in the back. Mendy was very disappointing. Casemiro was very disappointing. Mendy, in the first 20 minutes, he lost possession by himself in unforced error, and it looked like he was not even in the game at all. And if I would have been the manager there, seeing that, I would have said, "Okay, you're out, Marcelo. You go in." That's it, because you can't risk these type of games, one-off game, and you make mental mistakes like that are just really, really detrimental to the team. And we saw it exactly. You get bounced, and so I mean we'll see how it shakes out. We'll see how it shakes out. But this is a wake-up call. I think it's a wake-up call for the team that, look, yeah, we can have a good stretch like we had 5 or 6 straight wins in a row, but hey, on a bad day, it may turn on us, and that's the end of our competition. So,
sorry to jump in, Christian, but I just wanted to touch. You mentioned a great example this season. We went on and what is it? We won 6 out of 7, or we had a great run of great results. However, to be honest, some of the games that we had where we dominated and we looked like the most predominant team from the minute 1 to 90 were only really 2 to 3 games. The other ones were really hard fought games, and we either dominated the first half or the second half, but it was a struggle. So it was a great run of great results, but it was a little inconsistent here and there, and that's the thing that makes a lot of Madridistas uneasy.
And I mean, it's very difficult. I'll get in one moment to the next topic, but the final note on this is that, yeah, that great run, and then we tie Elche, and then we tie Osasuna, and then what happens? I mean, you drop 4 points to those teams that are non-European competition. You wonder why we don't win La Liga every year. Those are the reasons why. You can beat Atletico, you can beat Sevilla, you can beat Barcelona, which we did. The quality wins are there, but you can't go dropping points to the bottom table or mid-table teams. You can't do it. That's if you want to win La Liga, I'm saying. Qualifying for Champions League, it helps to get points, but are we? Is the bar set low for us in that level?
Never. It should never be low.
They're catching us. We gotta move up and raise the bar higher. So let's move on to the next topic. Okay, we got the Copa del Rey starting our campaign. New Copa del Rey. This, for many Madridistas out there, the Copa del Rey is the oldest tournament in Spain, where before La Liga was created in the 20s, the Copa del Rey was the championship of the entire country. So all the divisions play. It's a byproduct off of the FA Cup format that was created in England. So this is a beautiful tournament. I think it's great that they revamped it. I think it was last year. There was the revamp where they made it one game, and you have the draw where the home team would be the lower division team, unless it's the same division, where they would figure out who's going to be home or away. Emily, I wanted to get your thoughts on this. So we got Alcoyano, which is a team from the Valencia province, Comunidad of Valencia, if I say that correctly. What do you think going into this game for Real Madrid?
It's going to be based on them not having any expectations of winning. Because like we said, we've dropped points against those lower tier clubs in La Liga, and they've come to shock. And the magic of the Copa del Rey, as a lot of people like to call it, you can get shock results like that. I mean, look at Atletico Madrid. They're top of La Liga. They've been phenomenal in the league. And then all of a sudden, just I think it was like a few weeks ago, if I remember correctly, the days are a little confusing with COVID, but I mean, now they're out. So even like the chance of having a trouble over, and it's so early in the competition. I think Real Madrid needs to approach the game, okay, we need to fight, because again, if we're playing away to the lower tier, they're gonna fight, because they're gonna say, okay, let's be the what if, let's be the club that pushes Real Madrid, because we know they can break in certain situations, and it'll be a testy match, absolutely.
These kind of games are not only difficult for Real Madrid in terms of getting the result, but the fouls are different. I mean, because in the first division, there's like an unwritten code that you just don't go certain points in how you foul players, your fellow players. In the second, third division, fourth division, it's extremely competitive and really physical. They don't care. A lot of players don't. I remember there was a game that we played against a Segunda B division team. I forgot the name of the team, but there was a foul on Toni Kroos that was so blatantly horrible. And Toni Kroos wanted to fight the other player. And Toni Kroos is not a guy that gets in the face of another. He was red, like beyond belief. And I saw that. I was like, man, see, I think this is why a lot of those players don't want to play against these second and third division teams, because they don't want to, get exposed to that possibility. Cesar, for this game, do you expect a lot of changes in lineup that Zidane is going to have?
I think we're going to see some changes. I think we're going to see some of the players that don't get a whole lot of minutes regularly from the first team. I would like to see some people maybe from the Castilla team get called up, even as to come in as a sub at some point. Again, I'm not expecting them to resolve the match, but sometimes some of these players from the lower from Castilla as well, they might be more comfortable with the style of play that you mentioned. Also, they may have kind of some pointers, and not because the other team might be difficult or not. That is not even the question. It's just the styles of play, like you mentioned, in Segunda B, Tercera, they're so different and they are aggressive. And for many of these players, for Alcoyano, facing Real Madrid, it might be the game of their lives. Some might get the exposure that one day might get them to another club, another league, another level, and for some others, that will be the anecdote of their retirement with their grandkids. It's sad to say it this way, but when we're facing teams from such different hierarchies, and when it comes to La Liga, the field obviously will have a lot to say if we're playing away, because let's face it, the Bernabeu also is it's a temple for us, and us being used to that. Right now, even at the playing at the Di Stefano, that stadium is top notch, even though it's a small stadium. So going away, playing different styles, different players, it will be difficult. So we do need to make sure that we respect Alcoyano from the start. I would like to see a solid team of probably 4 or 5 from the first team that start, and maybe try out a couple different players and see how they go. I would love to see a little Martin Odegaard out there. I would love to see him just do what he does best, which is have fun with the ball. I think he needs a little more freedom in the role that he plays in order to really show us what he can do.
That's an excellent point, by the way. Emily, what do you think about Copa del Rey, Odegaard? Here, you're the conductor of the offense moving forward in this competition. La Liga will leave to Luka Modric and Toni Kroos. But Odegaard, you think he would be ready for something like that?
Oh, 100%. Absolutely. I mean, we've already seen him conduct when he was with Real Sociedad last season, and it was just phenomenal. I mean, he was always the go-to player to push that team forward, and they really had a great season, a strong season. And, it's unfortunate. I'm a big Odegaard fan, I have to say. I was fortunate enough to see him play live when he played in the Eredivisie just a few years ago. And it's just, I'm telling you, this boy is just wonderful on the ball, and it's incredible. So to see him sit on the bench, it's a little frustrating at times, not even to be used as a sub. I know a lot of people are questioning that. There was a recent video, not sure if either of you saw, but he was running and warming up after the end of the match against Athletic. All the players were gone. It was just Odegaard just doing laps back and forth on the pitch. And if that doesn't tell you the kind of determination and the mentality that this player has, and then add in his quality, I think the Copa would be, the prime competition for him to show Zidane, you know what, I can crack into the lineup for La Liga. I can crack into the lineup for the UCL. So I think hopefully he features. I hope he features a lot more in the future, just overall. But this could definitely be a turning point for his career with Real.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we really hope the best, because we saw him when he was a teenager and just coming up the ranks. And he, obviously, you said it, just magically with his feet, magically with passes. At Real Sociedad, he had a lot of freedom, but he was in a system that where he really flourished. He was on the right side. He moved into the middle. He had strength behind him. The midfield at Real Sociedad at that time they were very good. So he had that protection behind him, so he was able to have mobility and passing and getting into space and having the ball go where it needs to go. He had that in Real Sociedad. At Madrid, of course, Toni Kroos and Luka Modric are better midfielders in terms of seniority, but the age is getting to them. 30, 35, I know it's difficult for a lot of Madridistas out there because we've won so much with those guys, but sometimes it's better to take the Band-Aid off, completely than just little by little. It's very tough, very, very hard. But but yeah, we'll see how this goes. We'll see how it goes with the Copa. The thing is that, I really wish that the Copa del Rey, the Real Madrid would take Copa del Rey like a practice of Champions League in terms of because it's a knockout tournament, just like Champions League. And the thing is that for years we saw lineups that were young kids and subs that didn't get time, and Madrid crashed out early. And I think that the timing of Copa del Rey, why not put your Champions League lineup in that tournament? Get them going, because then in February and March, the Champions League gets restarted again. What do you think about something like that, Cesar?
I think it's a very interesting point. I actually had not really considered it that way, just because I think the historic way that Real Madrid and most La Liga teams tend to approach with Copa del Rey, which is again, the typically non-starters and some of the younger kids who come out there and start giving us those flashes of what they will become. But it does pose a great point, because clearly we already had a hiccup just this week with Bilbao in a knockoff tournament. So Copa del Rey is the same format, and then as we go into Champions, it makes perfect sense. I actually I love the idea of actually putting more effort out there without leaving without necessarily knowing that there is more to play for than just the Copa del Rey. But there is also we need to rotate a little bit, because yes, Champions League comes in February, but if we want to get all the way to May, we need to make sure that our starting 11 has enough legs and it's fresh enough to continue fighting all the way down there.
Yeah, Emily, what do you think about that proposal?
Yeah, I mean, kind of the same. I didn't really think about it like that, but the way you put it, it just makes complete sense when you think about it. Because even if Zidane wanted to, I don't know, experiment with the lineup against Atalanta, the Copa could be used to see, okay, would this formation that I'm putting on paper actually work on the pitch? Are the players going to be able to understand each other the way I hope they will, rather than just trying it in a one-off against Atalanta, and then if it goes the wrong way, then I mean, you're kind of screwed after. But yeah, I think it's a great proposal, really.
Yeah,
Hopefully,
because of La Liga, okay, the thing is, the first response from people that would not like that is, well, what about La Liga? They're going to drop it. I said, okay, look, there's 38 rounds of La Liga. So after January, there's still February, March, April, May. You still have 4 months of La Liga games to get back up into qualifying or stay within that race. Because if you look at La Liga, I mean, yes, Atletico is at a position where they are just, they're killing it. I mean, there's no way around it. But everyone else is puttering. There isn't this huge separation of like a team is 15, 20 points, and then the other one's 10 points, and the other one's, it's all neck and neck in all those top positions. So, I mean, you can put your better lineup in Copa before you run into Champions League and still maintain pace in La Liga. I don't know why the club doesn't consider something like that. I remember Butragueño was interviewed, I think it was before the draw, a couple of years ago on Real Madrid TV. And he said, La Copa del Rey es la fiesta del fútbol español. In English, that's La Copa del Rey is the party, Spanish football party, basically. It's a nice phrase, but for me, it sounds like we don't take this seriously. I mean, that's my guess. What do you guys think of something like that Butragueño said there? Emily?
I mean, I guess I could understand where they're coming from, because in recent seasons, we have seen Real Madrid come out at the early stages. And it's kind of just okay, we're out. Okay, let's focus on La Liga. Let's focus on UCL. It happened again. So, I mean, I can see that. I mean, for fans, you don't necessarily want the club and the coach to kind of approach it like that. You want the players to always give it their best. And while they always do, every competition is going to be seen differently. So I guess it's just going to come down to mentality, and hopefully they can put some sort of plan together to not crash out like their crosstown rivals.
Absolutely. And we have 19 Copa titles. Historically, we've taken La Liga more seriously and Champions League, obviously number one priority every single year. I mean, there's no doubt about it. Nobody can deny that. Cesar, prediction for the opener against Alcoyano.
I like a 3-1 in favor. I think that it's Alcoyano will show us something that we typically don't see. Again, you literally hit the nail on the head when you mentioned it's just different styles of play. They will play, I think, somewhat aggressive because that might be just a style of play that they play in Segunda B. And also for Real Madrid players, it's going to be something different to see. So I believe a 3-1 with the dominance and possession, the way we have seen it, probably a 65-70%, somewhat around there. Lots of crossing. That's what I'm foreseeing in this game. But I do think that Real Madrid needs to take it serious and not just but at the same time respect the other team a lot.
Yeah, Emily, what do you think?
I'll go with the 2-1. I wouldn't be surprised if Real struck first, but then the opponents crawled their way back into it, just from, lapse of mentality, because only a moment a match can change. And yeah, they have absolutely nothing to lose. And I mean, the minute they score one past Courtois, you never know like what's going to be going through their minds. It might be heightened and just like, okay, listen, we got one, let's push for more. Let's make them struggle. And it could happen because in the past, like we've seen in recent games, Real Madrid can struggle. And they've shown that they have weak points that many clubs have just been picking out. But in the end, though, I wouldn't be surprised if Real Madrid found a way just to win it. So I'll go with 2-1 for us.
Excellent. I will share that as well. 2-1, I say. 2-1. I think that we will score first, they will tie it, and we win it second half. I don't know the exact minute. I don't have the crystal ball, but if
you do find it, let me know. We can always put a wager.
Oh yeah, exactly. Right? We're gonna get that almanac.
That's all I'm thinking about right now.
For those that don't know, Back to the Future, a film with Michael J. Fox, and yeah, all that. Yeah.
Silly moment. Sorry.
Yeah, that's all right. That's all right. That's cool. But all right, we'll definitely see how it shakes out. So, all right, this is the end of the episode for El Palco de Honor. Emily, Cesar, it was a pleasure to have both of you on. Really happy to see you guys, and stay safe out there. Emily, you got a message for our audience before we take off?
I mean, everyone stay safe, with COVID times, do due diligence with all that, and, hope for the best. Don't be too critical. Always enjoy the one thing that we all enjoy, and that's just the game itself.
Exactly. Cesar?
First of all, I want to say thank you, Christian, for hosting me one more time. Emily, it's a pleasure. It's our first podcast we've had, and I look forward to another one. To all the Madridistas out there, and everyone, stay safe, please. We haven't come out of this just yet. We're still seeing a lot of issues, but the best we can do is just take care of each other, take care of ourselves, and little by little we'll come out in front, and soon enough things will get better. But for now, let's do our part and just be safe, please.
Excellent. Yes, and please follow Emily, follow Cesar on Twitter, on platforms. Also, Peña, Madridista, San Francisco Bay Area, our Peña to yours, and all the Peñas out there that are watching. Really, we have to be blessed that we're able to see our team play. I mean, because we saw a time where there were no games during a time when they should be playing, and that was very difficult to a lot of us. So we have to just count the blessings that we have in front of us. And on a personal note, COVID-19 is real. Okay, I still see people that say it's not, and it's whatever. No, it's real. It's real. We have to be careful. We have to take care of each other. We have to. We will get through this. All of it. I mean, we're going through the same storm together, obviously, but just staying positive, focusing on health, focusing on our happiness and whatever level we can get. But that's very important moving forward. We have to really, really take it in stride, because this is a marathon. This is not a sprint. This is very, very difficult, but, fortunately, we have the support system of connecting digitally, thankfully, that we're able to do these type of things. So I want to say, everyone, big hug and cheers. A la Madrid, nada más. Until next time, see everyone later.
Everybody, a la Madrid.
Bye, guys.